Welcome back everyone, Mariah Monetize here. In today's video, we're talking about your mindset around money. You might not actually be aware of it, but what might be stopping you from earning more money and reaching financial freedom is actually the mindset that you have around money. So in today's video, I'm gonna be going over that today, what my mindset has been like, where it's at today, and tips and tricks so that you can actually change your mindset around money so that you are one step closer to financial freedom. So this video actually came to mind because I recently was back in California visiting my family in my hometown. And so I moved to Puerto Rico 4 years ago. And one of the reasons why I moved to Puerto Rico was because I was looking for a place that just had like-minded individuals that were also into cryptocurrency, business, finance, and that is exactly what you get in Puerto Rico. Some people don't actually put that particular thing into consideration when making the move. You're going to meet incredibly brilliant people here that will really expand your horizons and make you think differently about business and money. It really just attracts a different caliber of people. So before I move forward, some things I say in this video are probably going to be controversial. That is totally okay, but I want to give a brief background on my financial upbringing because I think that changes the entire scope of this video and the perspective that I am coming from. And I think it's just fair that you know that beforehand. So I grew up in a middle-class family. There was always a roof over my head. There was always food at the kitchen table. There was always money for me to do extracurricular activities. But as soon as I turned 15, my mom started saying no to many requests that I had for certain things that I wanted. And so once I turned 15, I started finding creative ways to make money, and I have paid for everything that I have ever since. I became a self-made millionaire at the age of 24, first through sweepstaking, starting a food truck business, and then investing into cryptocurrencies. So that's just my background there. I had parents that taught me absolutely nothing about finances except just to save, and try to spend as least as possible and take absolutely no risk. Just get a good job that gives you health insurance. I took the absolute opposite approach because I didn't really want to live the same lifestyle that my parents did, and there's also the very rebellious side of me that just wanted to do the exact opposite of everything that they told me to do. That actually served me quite well. So when I was back in California, I heard a lot of chatter, a lot of interesting statements about money, around money, that honestly gave me the idea of making this video. So for example, I heard a statement like, more money, more problems. And I said, no. Money just amplifies who you already are. If you're an asshole, a lot of money will probably make you even more of an asshole. If you are a gracious, giving, generous person, more money will just amplify those qualities. So I believe that money just amplifies who you are. But there was a time in my life when I was probably in high school where I would probably say the same statement, more money, more problems. And that's because I really didn't have that much money. So once you are familiar with having more money than just your average amount, then you realize that money just adds freedom to your life. You're able to pay for conveniences. It improves your quality of life. You're able to treat people. You don't think twice about money. You don't think twice about spending money on certain things. You want something, you get it. So before we move any further, I want to share with you guys iTrust Capital. iTrust Capital is a way that you can actually invest in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and many other cryptocurrencies within a retirement account. And depending on if you choose a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, there are an insane amount of tax saving possibilities if you invest within an IRA. iTrust Capital is great because there are 0 fees every month in your account. And when you trade within your account, it's actually a non-taxable event. And that's what makes it so unique and so special. Trading within the platform is just a 1% fee, and they also offer precious metals. It's extremely easy to get started with iTrust Capital. You can go ahead and check out my link down below to get started. And when you make your investment into the IRA, you will actually receive $100 free in Bitcoin when you sign up with my link. The process is very simple, and iTrust Capital will help you get started and help you start investing now for the future. So another scenario that I ran into when I was back in California was people getting caught up on small amounts of money. And I understand that some people live paycheck to paycheck and they have to pretty much count every single penny that they spent. I can't say that I've ever been in that situation, so I'm gonna be honest, I don't quite understand it. But the statement that I'm about to say came from someone who is not in that scenario. This statement came from someone who has a great paying job, their wife has a great paying job, and he was very caught up that he had to pay $5 to park at a school parking lot, which was basically a public school. And it was like in a special event or whatever. And for me, it was like the conversation kept on getting brought up throughout the day over this $5. So when I spend $5, I don't think twice about it. And this is the thing, is that he got so caught up with that $5 because in his mind, he thought it was unethical that he had to pay the $5. And when you just remove that from the scenario and you just consider the fact that there was an incredible amount of energy spent on, one, getting frustrated about the $5, and two, the mental space that it was occupying throughout the entire day, you are really cutting yourself short when it comes to ideas, creativity, and all positive thoughts that could be running through your mind. So it just creates anger, frustration, which we know first lowers our IQ, and it's just basically taking up mental space that could be used in so many more positive ways. And what all this really comes down to is intermixing emotions with money. And this is the key of this entire video, is that I look back on when I was emotionally connected to money. I let money run my emotions, my self-worth in some scenarios. And when you can successfully separate yourself from that and remove emotions from money and investing, you'll be a much better investor. Here's one really great example when emotions could have gotten to the way. In March 2020, when Bitcoin crashed to $3,500, that was the first time in all of Bitcoin's existence that I thought it had the potential to go to zero. I was honestly scared out of my mind. And in most scenarios, people will sell. Fear equals selling. And when we look back on time, the times that we were most fearful is typically when we should actually be buying more, investing more, instead of selling. And we definitely saw that play out when we heard the announcement with Russia and Ukraine. The markets absolutely tanked that day, but they have recovered since. So that was actually the day to buy and not the day to sell, which honestly, I actually sold off a little bit that day. When you emotionally disconnect yourself from money, you just give yourself so much more freedom. And so every single day, I try to think of ways to automate my life, just have things run that I don't run in a way where I don't have to constantly be thinking. So I free up space for creativity, for ideas, especially as a YouTuber. The creativity has to always be on, thinking of new videos, new topics. So I choose to not be bothered or caught up on most things, because you have to always ask yourself, do I have control in this situation to change the outcome? In that scenario, he had already handed over the $5. He wasn't going to get it back. He could have drove back there, later in the day to maybe see if they would have, agreed with him and given his money back because it was a public school. But then he would have just spent more money on gas to get there. So this is the thing, is that you typically can't change the outcome. And it's important that we choose to put energy and efforts to change the outcome if we actually have a chance or control. But in most scenarios, even if I think there's the opportunity to get my funds back, I don't choose to spend the energy because in most cases, I don't find it worth it. For example, you've probably seen my previous video where I've lost $8 million investments that went wrong. And is there the possibility that I could have fought to try to get my money back? Yes, but I didn't think that my odds were good enough. Therefore, I just let it be. I moved on with my life. I didn't allow myself to get emotionally connected or frustrated with that situation. And I just moved forward and looked for the next opportunity to make money and find a better investment. And at the end of the day, this really circles back to freedom. What does that mean? When my uncle got caught up on the $5, he completely surrendered his freedom. It was just sitting in his mind, rent-free for the entire day. And so it's freedom in life, it's freedom of your thoughts, freedom of what's occupying your mental space. And so for me, freedom is extremely important and in many different aspects. So that is something that should motivate you in really detaching yourself emotionally from money. So here's another question. Is money important? Yes, I believe money is important. It puts a roof over my head. It gives me freedom, right? It always goes back to freedom. It puts food on the table. It gives me the ability to experience all sorts of things. It gives me the ability to not have to set an alarm in the morning because I'm not dependent on having to go to a job every day from 9 to 5. And I tip my hat to everyone who has to do that. And I hope that you can get to the point where you find financial freedom and no longer have to do that. So, what's the fastest way to get to this mindset of money place that I believe is the incorrect way to approach life? I believe that is starting the rat race. It all starts in school. I personally went to public school, and every day that goes by, I honestly wish that I would have dropped out of high school. The only reason why it was worth it was because I really loved sports and I loved playing sports. And going back, I would have probably either dropped out of high school or I would have not tried that hard and just got enough on my grades to be able to be an athlete. So when we enter school, we're told to get a good job that has a really good income, that also has health insurance and a 401k and all of those things, right? Which do not equate freedom in any way, shape, or form. And then there's this idea of, wow, if you can get a job that pays $100,000 a year, then you have made it. But once again, you probably will not have much freedom. You will have a boss. You will have to get up every morning and be woken up by an alarm clock. Most of us enter this environment where we don't see money as a free-flowing thing. We see it as something that we're chasing, we must obtain, and once we obtain it, we must hold on to it, right? Many of us have grown up with the savings culture. Save, 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 save. And what I tell people that save is I tell them that your money is on fire. Your money is losing value every single day. And if your money is also in a bank, it's not really yours. If everyone goes to the bank on the same day to withdraw your money, 10% of you are going to get what is actually reflected on your bank account. So instead of seeing money as something that's extremely difficult to obtain, especially after all the dollars that were printed during the pandemic, in the last year, year and a half, 50% of all US dollars have been printed. There is more money in circulation now than ever. So instead of viewing money as something that's really challenging to obtain, I look at money as something actually easy to obtain. But I am very picky and choosy with my time on how much efforts I will put in to get a certain amount of money. Before I start any business, any project, I ask myself, what is this time commitment going to be? Is this going to require me to set an alarm? As you can see here, not setting an alarm is very, very important to me. And so I have this idea of money where it's flowing in and out of my life. And I'm not afraid of inflation because I know that Bitcoin is my insurance against inflation. So at the end of the day, the message that I am trying to relay to you guys is practice on not being emotionally attached to your money. It takes time, it takes years, and it takes practice, but it just will add extreme freedom to your life. So I hope you enjoyed this video, found a ton of value in it. Like I said, you can sign up with iTrust Capital. I have a link down below where you can actually get $100 free in Bitcoin. That is all that I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.